Hi everyone, welcome to my channel for some Guardium Collectors administration considerations based on my experience as professional services with IBM and my recent practical experience at AIM, where I manage by myself about 50 collectors without this taking more than 10 to 20% of my time. Here I'm going to present to you what I consider as a very handy tool that all Guardium admins should use and master, and this tool is Excel. So first, why you should master at least some key functions or feature in Excel. Why? It's because Guardium collects the data pretty well and makes them always available as CSV files. And the best way to view CSV files is Excel. Okay? Excel or the like. So the demo here is going to be more on Google Sheets. But it's the same thing, right? To transpose into Excel, it's really not big deal. So feature within Excel I really find very useful are CONCATENATE, VLOOKUP, the graphs and formatting of data. You're gonna see why. The pivot tables, the F4 function key, and we're gonna. All those one I'm gonna show some example. It's gonna be very hands-on. And last thing, I'm gonna take a buffer usage monitor report, 1 hour long, and I'm gonna show you, especially with graph, what you can do. Okay. So let's start with concatenate. So let's go to this one. Then here we are. So how to use concatenate functions. And you can see here it's an example for this. But for example, I've got some first name and last name, right? And I want to what's the name? To concatenate them. So if I do that, so it's a concatenate. You type equal. So I'm gonna do it again. Okay. Let me remove that. So here I'm going to concatenate. So I say equal concatenate. So the equal is a way for Excel to know that it's a function. So I'm going to do that and that. Okay. And even suggest to autofill it. Okay. So, but here you see there is it's concatenate, but there is no blank. Then what you can do, for example, it's here I'm going to put a blank after the name, right? And then the blank can appear, but it's not necessarily the best way. So what I'm going to do, it's here I've got something else, right? And I'm going to put insert a blank, right? So instead of, then I'm going to do it again. Right, so you do equal concatenate, so accept. So I'm gonna do this one, comma 2, very important, double quote, blank, double quote, comma, and this one. Okay. So now you got some things, and here it suggests the autofill. So it's, but if you don't want to do the autofill, or if you don't have it, you just on Excel it's the same, right? And you do that. So here it's a little bit more, I would say, involving. So the idea is to replace. If you, for example, you have to enter you have to enter a double quote, single quote, and double quote, right? So do something like that here. You do equal concatenate. So you do simple quote, blank, double quote. Okay, so you got that, right? But it may get a bit complicated. So another way of doing that is as follows, right? Concatenate sound comma, and here I do char of 34, which is a double quote, followed by, let's say, char of 20, except that here in this case it doesn't work, but it's you get the idea. 34, and now I've got that. Oh, yeah, why? Oh, because I forgot. Okay, so and here it's not really very pretty, but you got the idea. You can replace, right? Quote, double quote, and so forth, and by their value in ASCII. Okay, so and if you want to have an idea of this, you do ASCII table, right? So for example, I'm gonna take about this one. Okay, so it's okay, so that space, it's 32 actually. You see, so it's 32. So let me check. Here, so it's 32, and now, what? I got it. You see, so this is a nice way. So 32 is space, 34 is double quote, and 39 is a single quote. I tried 10. This is a very nice one. So for example here. So this one has a sharp 10. So it did a line feed. So this is for concatenate. So now let's talk about VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP is a very, very useful and handy function in Excel. And so we can use it that way. I'm going to show you. So the VLOOKUP is here. So let's took some let's say that test data, right? So let me grab and show you. So I'm going to just make delete. Where is the delete? Right, delete. I want you to see it. Okay, so I've got a series of servers, right? IPs, right? But I know that they belong to some application, but the data, the traffic doesn't give me that application. However, I know it works that way. Okay, so server 1111, it's a Oracle Business Suite. 1112, it's Elk. 1113, it's Tableau. Okay, so this is what I want. And also there are some DB user. I just have a name, user ID, right? I want the names, right? So here I've got a table where I've got these names, those names, right? So basically what I want is to populate in those new columns, right? You create a new column here and here. And I want to populate each time, right? So this one with obs, this one with L. Out of question to do that by hand, especially if you've got a few thousand. Okay. So what you do, it's you use VLOOKUP, vertical way. So it works that way. It means that I'm looking for this one into this table, and here I'm going to fix it by function F4. So do you see the Oh wait, okay, so I forgot the most important. Okay, so I'm looking for this one, comma, into this, but I want to fix it, right? Comma. So when I find the line, I want the VLOOKUP to take the value in the corresponding value in the second column. So I put 2, and I want an exact match. So I put 0. Now I've got that. Oh, why do I have an error? So it's not really. Well, I've got an error, of course, because it's not lookup, it's VLOOKUP. Okay, so. And now I've got that, and I can, let's say I don't want the autofill, so what I do is I do that. Okay, it's done. Now I can do the same thing for DB user equal VLOOKUP. This time I want here. So I'm looking for this one into this one, but I want it to be fixed. So it's not a 4, sorry. It's a function 4. Right now it's fixed. So something at the second column, exact match. Okay, so here. So now very simply that way I populated the spreadsheet with meaningful values and like the application name and the username and all those numbers and the fields which are crucial, of course, but are not really meaningful per se. So now they are. Okay, so, and you do that with VLOOKUP. Basically, this is enrichment. Right, this is enrichment. So Excel is very nice, but it's very manual. Okay, so it's very good for designing something, figuring out something, poking around. But once you know what you want in terms of enrichment, but it's better to use something like Elasticsearch or Synergy or Guardium Insight, because it's gonna do the same thing for you. So basically the Context 22 application for enrichment uses Python and Elasticsearch. Okay, so now the next one, the formatting and the graphs. Okay, so formatting and graphs. So here I'm going to remove this one first. So here we're going to work with the dates, because this is probably what is a little bit more difficult. So here I've got a date, right? It's by the way, you can generate a date with now. You see, oh wait, this one I'm going to explain you one, but it's a good example. So because this one, if you look at the format, this is a number, but it's a number, whereas I can put it as a date time. Okay, and now here it is, you see. So this is the date. Here it's the same, but just like so it's a number, right? So now what I'm gonna do, it's I'm gonna just add 1, right? So this one C3, yeah, because this one is the same as this one. Okay, this one is the same as this one. Okay, so this is my starting point. Here I'm gonna generate some data values, right? So by adding 0.01, okay, which is basically 5 minutes, right? Is it? Why 5 minutes? A little bit more than that. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Okay. So, and I just add 15 minutes each time, right? So it works like that, right? Now I can show you. I can remove that. Okay, and I'm gonna generate that again. Okay, and I've got that. And here it's the same thing, but with a format, right, as date time. Okay, and here I've got analyzer rate, right? So what I wanted to show you, it's now you can graph. Okay, so here this is Google Sheets. So you can, but in Excel is the same thing. You go chart and look at that. This is the analyzer rate. You can see, and it's and if you don't like the lines, you can do that. If you don't like the bar, you can do that. It's really up to you, right? But you see, it's important to know in what format your stuff are, right? And you really need to play a lot with the numbers, and but you can convert in all those stuff, right? It's okay. So this is for the graphs. Okay, so now let's talk about pivot table. So pivot table are very, very, very useful. Okay. So here we are. Okay. So here I've got a very stupid very stupid table, right? In which I've got for 2 different users at 2 different days what product they purchased, right, and in what quantity. So I'm going to remove all those stuff here because this is where is the delete. Okay, so now there is no. So you see, it's you don't have aggregation, let's say per product or per users or even per date, right? And pivot table, this is what it allows you to do, right? So I'm going to show you a few things. Okay, so I'm going to select all those commands. So notice that they have a header, so which automatically, whether Google Sheets or Excel, recognize as head the name of the column. And I'm going to here, so I'm going to insert a pivot table. Okay. So I'm going to create a pivot table using those range of data, which has column, right? Except that probably I don't want to have that. So I'm going to just take, because no, okay. So I'm going to just take that, right? I don't want to those ones to be taken. So I'm going to insert a pivot table. So now it's telling you that the range, right? It's from A1 to D9, and it's asking you where you want to put the result of the. So I want to be on the same page, right? I don't want. So and here I need to select one. I'm going to do that here. So I say OK, and I say OK. So now you've got these little scaffold or skeleton for these and here you see it has recognized the columns names, right? And what I want to have, I want to have a total per product. Okay, so I'm going to select in rows the product, you see, and I'm interested in values here, right, which are calculated fields, exactly what I want, right? So I want the quantities, but it's going to sum them up, but I can change that. For example, I can put a count, or I can put a max, or I can put even standard deviation, average, and so forth, unique count. So this is and okay, so and this is a first pivot table I've got. Okay, So I'm gonna make another one, still with the same for table, but this time instead of having by product, I want by users, right? So insert a pivot table, like before. I want to be on the same page here, so I'm gonna actually I'm gonna put it here, right? It says yes. Okay, so same skeleton. So in terms of row, I want this time the user, and in terms of values, I want the quantity as well, and it's going to be a sum. Okay, so now if I'm gonna look at this one, now I've got per dB user, right? It's consistent. Now let's do another one. Here you can see there is two columns, two rows, but there is only one column, right? So I want the total per user and per product. Okay, so what I'm going to do, once again, selecting this, insert pivot table, existing stuff, and here, right? And now I've got the same skeleton. So what I want per row, I want per user, but in terms of column, I want per product. And in values, I want the quantity, and it's going to be a sum. I've got that. So, and here you can see I've got. Well, this is extremely useful in Guardium. Not very much for the BOOM, the buffer usage monitor, but as soon as you are taking data from the traffic, or even the staff status report, this becomes very, very useful. But once again, this is very manual, it's very simple, but it's not really good if you have a lot of data. So if you got a lot of data, it's better to use something like Context 22 with Elasticsearch, or when you upload those data into Elasticsearch, or you do that with Synergy or with Guardium Insight. Okay. Okay, so now let's just a little bit about the F4 function key. So as you've seen in here in the concatenate, right here, no, in the VLOOKUP, sorry. Here I use those $ fixing the cell or the cell range. This is automatically done with F4 function, right? So if you don't use F4, so on the first cell, for example, you're going to have this stuff, but if you drag this formula to the next cell, it's going to change everything, right? It's going to increment everything by 1. So now it's not going to look at K2 L7, but K3 L8. You don't want that, right? So if you use a F4 function key, so when you create the first one, it's going to look like it. And what it's going to do is actually those 3 ones. It's going to increment the cell here because there is no $, but it's not going to increment that, right? So and this is very, very handy. Okay, so last thing, it's an example from real life, the BOOM, the buffer usage monitor. So I've got one. So here, this is so I'm going to remove all those if you want. Okay, so it should be only one. Okay. So this is a buffer usage monitor report. So you're going to recognize it's for the synergy version. So it adds this column. So, but starting from here to the end, it's a buffer usage monitor. So you're going to recognize the columns, and I'm going to here highlight the one I think you need to look at. So I'm going to do just where is it here? I'll put in yellow. Sound analyzer Q length. So this is a very good one. Actually, the memory is a memory sniffer, mem sniffer, is a very good one as well. And the other one I recommend are this one at 0 received, so it gives you a good ID, and my disk usage. This is just for 1 hour, so you're gonna see it doesn't move. Okay, but there is another one you need to look at. It's this one, right? So I'm gonna something highlight. Okay, so let's what we can do with that. So probably you remember that for memory sniffer, it's the sniffer gets at most a third of the total memory. Therefore, if you've got 32 gig, don't expect to get way more than 10 gig. Here it's 8. Okay. Then by the way, if you want to format, right, so we can do that. It's well, this one you see, it's so I don't like. We don't need we don't need decimals, and here you can clearly see it's 8 gig. Okay, you don't need, you just change the format. So, and here we're going to do charts, right? And you've got that here, the business cadre. Here, to be frank, I prefer the line. Okay, so and here it doesn't, and you see it's just not far away from 10. Yeah, you can see it. So, and if you've got some a change evolutions, and you're going to see it very clearly. So you don't need to scroll through the spreadsheet. So analyzer, right? This is a good one. Charts. And look at that. Isn't it nice? Right. So something you can do. You can do the Q length. So you see it's right here. To be frank, here it's analyzer Q length. It's not much, but still it's using it. So basically, it's in terms of memory, it's pretty busy, right? So it's good to know, because this one can, if the traffic pattern changes, it may create some issues, and it's definitely something to monitor. This so here at 0 received. Something chart, right? It's quite gorgeous. So my disk usage, something I'm gonna do a chart, and here we are 48 and doesn't change, right? Okay, but you will see, and this is just for 1 hour, but you look at it for over 3 weeks or 3 days, 1 week period, you see the change, right? And if you've got a trend, you're gonna see it, right? If it's getting more and more traffic, it's gonna you're gonna see a trend toward 100%, right? So you need to take some action. Okay, so the last one normally is this one. Okay, so here, if I put some filters, which are, where are they, those filters? I don't remember. Okay, so they are here. No, it's here. So here you can see that there is only one. So it never restarted. But let's assume that I'm gonna make, there is a change, right? So let's say here it's 2020 032, right? And I've got that here. Okay, so you can scroll or you can see that way, but you know, it's so this is where it's interesting to do here. It's a pivot table, right? So you do a pivot table. It's a very simple one, right? Okay. What location we have? Right. Yep. And here in the row you put the TID, and here in the value you took, but it's not a sum, it's going to be a unique count, right? So if we look at what it does, you see, meaning that what you can do, it's even add well, the unique count is actually not very. You need a sum. So look at that. Well, it's not a sum. Yeah, no, it's not a sum. It's a count. What I'm saying, it's a count, right? So it means that 44 times for 44 minutes it was on this sniffer ID, and on 11 minutes it was on this one. So it's a good way to get a sense. If you end up with a list of 10 TID, process ID of the sniffer, right, with a value like even 44 minutes, it's not a lot, right? It's a sniffer should restart every I don't know, 3 months, right? So it's a lot of. If you've got numbers of this type, you've got a big problem. Okay, so this is the end of this presentation, and if you want to contact us, and you've got different options, you've got info@context22.com, support at context22.com. This support, if you've got technical questions, I'm going to try to answer them, but no guarantee, right? And we've got a site in construction still, so be nice, it's not perfect yet. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, and hope it's gonna be useful, and